Do you believe that all white people have taken part in racial violence, which is what you wrote?
I believe that society is built on the foundation. It's not what I believe, it's a fact that society is built on the foundations of colonialism and slavery.
I've been watching all this shit in America and being entertained by it. I've been watching Atheism is Unstoppable and everybody else talk about it, and I just laughed. I thought, how stupid are Americans? And now here we are on the BBC, for fuck's sake.
I understand that. In terms of specifically what you wrote,
yeah.
Are you standing by all white people and racial violence?
I'm
all white people are guilty of racial
violence. That's a very nuanced thing. So
I don't think you can say very much about all white people that you can't say about all black people. So if it's really that nuanced, I'm pretty sure it can probably be applied both ways.
You have things like microaggressions that people of colour will experience every single day.
You have things like microaggressions that white people have to deal with every single day.
That everything from moving from a black person on a bus.
Everything from moving from a white person on a bus.
I understand that, but are you saying all white people are guilty of that?
I'm not saying all white people are guilty of it, but all white people benefit from racism with white privilege. If you are not actually dismantling racism, if you are not going to pull people up from the bottom of the pyramid to the top.
I'll just stop you there, love, because I had this exact same dilemma when I was about 13 years old. I thought, what a strange world we live in, where everybody seems to think men are better than women, and white people are better than black people, and young people are better than old people. I thought, it's weird being a white young male. It kind of puts me right at the very top of this pyramid. And everybody who sees themselves as underneath me shits all the fuck over me. And, you know, as a 13-year-old kid, I had this dilemma where I wanted to help to benefit. I wanted to use this privilege, as you put it, in order to benefit other people's lives and be a voice for the voiceless. And so I became quite a devil's advocate. In a lot of ways, I kind of sabotaged my own happiness in order to elevate other people. It didn't really work out for me, I'll be honest. These people never really understood it that way, because in reality it doesn't exist. We're all pretty equal, and the people who see themselves as underneath, like women, seem to be allowed to shit all over men without anybody batting an eyelid, whereas the reverse is not so true. And it's the same, black people being a minority are allowed to shit all over white people, and yet the reverse is not true.
If you are not actually dismantling racism, if you are not going to pull people up from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, then you are participating and benefiting from racism.
But you didn't.
Right, pulling people up from the bottom to the top is really generalistic, isn't it? So at first your mind conjures up things like pulling the disabled up and, you know, admiring them more, and obviously with the men-women thing, you might be thinking pick the women up and hold them higher or whatever. But no, she says her end conclusion is then you're participating in racism, because obviously that general statement about picking people up who are lower than you has to be racist. We have to be talking about racial lines in her mind. But let's play her little mind game for a minute and say that whoever is seen as the bottom of the pyramid in this minority thing gets picked up and elevated to the top. Then whoever was in the middle is now at the bottom, so they then get elevated up to the top. And then, you know, whoever was at the top originally and then moved down to the middle and is now at the bottom, they get elevated to the top. So we've just gone round in a big circle, and now I'm back on the top, apparently. And I've decided to change the rules. Being on the top, I've decided that you have to grind for it. You have to earn it. Yeah, that's about the size of it. You know, you want to be successful, let's just break this whole pyramid down and say we're all equals. Let's each try to be successful now on our own terms, yeah? Rather than putting ourselves in these groups and hoping that somebody's going to give these groups a break. Let's each be an individual and grind for ourselves and be successful on our own terms. And not say stupid things on Twitter that get us fired. Let's not do that either.
Write that. What you wrote was,
I did write that, but it was taken out of context.
This is, I mean, these are the sentences that you wrote. I don't have the energy to talk about racial violence of white people anymore. Yes, all white people.
Yes,
That's in context.
The text,
would you agree?
No, I wouldn't agree, because the text originally had two bookends. This screenshot was sent to the Daily Mail by somebody that I know, and it was in response to Charlottesville. I wasn't just ranting randomly about white people. It was in response to this white supremacist rally.
I get it, to be honest. She was venting and said yes, all white people, just for the hashtag. So more eyes hit it. It was the hashtag yes, all white people. And she was talking about Charlottesville, which is an interesting American topic. Why have we got this on the BBC?
Could you have worded it better?
To be honest, speaking about racism as a person of colour, it is a very passionate thing and it's a very emotional thing, and I'm not going to censor myself for my feelings.
What she meant was, as a sensitive person of colour, just like a sensitive white person might become a white nationalist.
So, and these are my feelings.
No one would want you to censor yourself. It's the specificity, it's the accuracy.
I think this is the problem, is that white people are thinking about how it makes them feel when racism doesn't affect them.
Wow. How sheltered do you have to be? I grew up on streets, right, where people said, you can walk down this street, but if you walk down that street, you'll get your head kicked in. Why? Because of the colour of my skin. One time I had a friend who was driving me to his house, and he happened to be a Muslim, dark-skinned person, and as we're driving down this street, he's stopping at all his neighbours who are, you know, they're out doing things. And he's saying, this one's alright, this one's with me. And he meant a white person. He meant I was alright for a white person. Racism is not a one-way street. You're even just thinking about it as white and black, and it's not, is it? There's all kinds of in-betweens. In-betweens. And I wouldn't care, but I take offence to calling yourself black or coloured and calling me white, since neither of us are those tones. Those are not even colours. Anyway, whatever.
It affects people of colour. The system is not put in place to affect white people, and white people need to get over the fact that, yes, it's a really uncomfortable truth.
As I said, it hit me when I was 13, and I'll be honest, it took me a few years to get over the uncomfortable truth. The uncomfortable truth is that we all stand on our own merit. I don't get any special privilege for being a man. I don't get any special privilege for being white. The system has been put in place to try to make everybody equal.
Really inconvenient truth. Get over that get over that discomfort. Yeah. Think about how it makes us feel.
So that's the end of the clip that the BBC put on their page. What a strange place for them to leave it. It's almost giving her the last word, with that big smile. How does it make you feel? How do you think it makes us feel when you're just always making this racial divide? You see, this is the problem. If a black person has a problem with a black person, that's not racist. If a white person has a problem with a white person, that's not racist. If a black person has a problem with a white person, apparently that's allowed to be racist. And if a white person has a problem with a black person, that for some unknown reason always has to be racist. I met a black person about 2 weeks ago that I thought was a dickhead. Do you know why I thought he was a dickhead? Because he had a fucked up personality. he's just not the kind of person I want to know. So I thought, what a dickhead. I didn't think, oh, he's black, therefore he's a dickhead. Fucking hell.